worry. Every little thing is gonna be alright. Don't worry about a thing. Every little thing is gonna be alright. I won't worry. Don't worry about a thing. Every little thing is gonna be alright. Don't worry about a thing. Don't worry
Don't worry.
about a thing.
Every little thing is gonna be alright.
Singing don't worry
Don't worry.
about a thing.
Every little thing is gonna be alright.
Rise up this morning, smile with the rising sun. Three little birds, it's by my doorstep, singing sweet songs of melodies pure and true, saying, "This is my message to you." Singing, don't worry
Don't worry.
about a thing.
Every little thing is gonna be alright.
Saying, don't worry
Don't worry.
about a thing.
Every little thing is gonna be alright.
Rise up this morning, smile with the rising sun. Three little birds, it's by my doorstep, singing sweet songs of melodies pure and true, saying, "This is my message to you." Don't worry about a thing. Worry about a thing, no. Every little thing is gonna be alright. Don't worry. Saying don't worry about a thing. I won't worry. Every little thing is gonna be alright. Don't worry about a thing. Every little thing.
All right, hello everyone out there. How are you today? How was work? For those of us who've been to work today, how was work today? Hope everything worked out as planned. How is the weather where you are? To be honest with you, the weather has been so horrible here in the United Kingdom. It's been raining, it's been cold. We've had probably all the seasons just in one day. You know, when you have autumn and winter in a summer day or on a summer day. I mean, it's been something else here in the UK. But I hope the weather is fantastic and lovely where you are. If it's in the sun, I hope you're enjoying the sun. How are you feeling? How is everything with you? Welcome again to Voice Africa Radio, and this is Frankly Speaking. Frankly Speaking. And you know, on this show, Frankly Speaking, we do some frank speaking to ourselves, to one another. We take on topics that tends to better our lives and enrich our living. And we're not going to do anything different from that today. We're going to discuss this topic. You know, this idiom, shoot yourself in the leg, or you've shot yourself in the leg, or shooting yourself in the leg. You know, it's a very common idiom. That's what we're looking at today. What does it actually mean? How are we shooting ourselves in the leg? How can we shoot ourselves in the leg? How can we avoid shooting ourselves in the leg? What does it really mean to shoot yourself in the leg? It's a very common idiom. Once again, the show is not going to be long today as usual, but you know, we're just going to go straight and hit the nail on the head and just say it as it is. It's frankly speaking. So what you can expect on this show today from me is some frank speaking, some frank talking, and of course that's what you're going to get. So get up, get yourself ready. I want to quickly acknowledge those who have joined in already. I can see that some of the usual friends of Voice of Freak Radio and lovers of Voice of Freak Radio are already on the show with me. Olubukola Oyewole Bamidele, thank you so very much. Welcome to the show. Anu Oluwa Olaoluwa, welcome to the show. Dupe Gold, I welcome you. Thank you for joining. Oladegbe Misola Betty, you are welcome. You're welcome. Who else? I can see Akinola Abimbola Olaoye. Welcome to the show. Julius Okoloba, welcome on board as well. Gbemi Dolly Pinuga, thank you for joining. Welcome. I welcome every one of you, even those whose names I could not mention. Bernard Amalu, Dudu Heritage. It's nice having you on the show today. And as usual, let us share. So more people, will have the opportunity of joining us on the show. The show is going to be very brief today. Well, not as brief as in brief, but it's not going to be a long show, but it's going to be a rich show. It's going to be very, very rich. And I'm going to suggest that you get your pen and paper ready, because I think you may want to jot down a few things. We're looking at the topic, shooting yourself in the leg. What does it really mean? I'm going to play some more music. Bob Marley, of course. We're going to listen to some more of Bob Marley music, and then we will begin. Actually, we started the show with Bob Marley. Let me give you some Two-Face Idibia music. Listen to this.
G. What's that song? For instance, say I be the one where them give chance. Say I be the one where they make plans. For all man to benefit I be, to make we disagree, to agree to create chance. But now I am not of importance, cause now I am looking from a distance. And that's why he give them the chance to do ours and turn us the victim of circumstance. Them just to ignore our existence. They create excuse, they use excuse to buy chance.
I'm just waiting for us to share the video while we listen to that music, and then we will start the talk on the topic of discussion on Frankly Speaking today. Remember, this is Voice of Freak Radio.
You feel what I feel, it means you feel in my flow, and then you know say it's so. Hello, yeah. You know so, on you in the motor, and you can't go slow. Hello, yeah. You know this thing is affecting your being, and it's killing your soul. Hello, yeah. Hello, yeah. But the thing when you see, they make you hello, yeah. Hello, yeah. See this type of thing when we they feel, they make me they want to the. Hello, yeah. So if I want to the cheese, I go still go they want to the hello, yeah. Stand, look around you, when I pet you, you go on to the hello, yeah. Hello, yeah. For instance, say mini ballet of Nigerians. Share I go to respect your own stance. Share I go create the scenery for better to plenty to the make me they give chance.
All right, let's allow ourselves to begin the show. First of all, before I go on to begin the show or begin discussing the topic that we have on the show today, let me just quickly mention someone else's name who's just joined us. Bosse Abbas, you're welcome. Thank you for joining the show. I'm going to go straight away and start on the subject of discussion. Some of you are saying hello. I'm waving to you. Hello, hello, hello. Ruti Miomoni, thank you for joining. How are you? How are you? Bemi Dolipino guy saying good evening. Good evening to you. Julius, yes. Oh, yes, so, yes, so, yes, so. And I say yes, so as well. Thank you so very much for joining. I do appreciate you. I appreciate your time. We will together make this another very interesting show. I know Lua says good evening, sir. Good evening to you as well. It's exciting seeing all of you. Thank you for all the like. I can see all the likes. Thank you for the likes. Thanks for the love as well. Thank you so much. As I discuss this topic, Rutimi, thank you so very much, Rutimi Omoniyi. As I go on to discuss the topic, if you have any contributions to make towards this topic of discussion, please feel free to type it up there. Let's discuss. Let's make it a discussion together. Let's learn from one another. No man is a reservoir of knowledge. No man is a reservoir of knowledge. We're learning from one another. So let's do it again tonight. Rotimi Omoni says, well done, sir. Well done to you as well. Thank you so very much. Thanks for your time. Thanks for your time. You're the reason I am on the show tonight. You're the reason I'm here. Kindly share this video and let's have a fantastic time together. So we're looking at shoot yourself in the leg, or shooting yourself in the leg. I'm sure this is a very familiar idiom to all of us. We all hear this idiom from time to time. We all say it from time to time. What does it actually mean to shoot yourself in the leg? From my findings, I understand that, you know, in the during the First World War, when the war became very fierce and very tough, and you know, soldiers were dying, different camps were losing soldiers left, right, and center, and the battle was so fierce. I'm talking about the First World War. So during that time, because the war was very fierce and people were just dying all over the place, the soldiers, or some of the soldiers, decided, you know what, it's better we go back home. So they were thinking about how they were going to get themselves back home. Nobody was going to send them back home. The reason they enlisted in the army is to fight wars. Now they are right in the middle of a war, and they were thinking of going back home. No commander would listen to them to say, okay, commander, I want to go back home. No, nobody was going to send them back home. So they now came up with an idea that, you know what, if we are wounded, at least they will send us back home. We will not be fit to fight the battle anymore. So any soldier who is wounded will be withdrawn from the war or from the battlefield, you know, so that they can be looked after. So these soldiers now thought, what do we do? Why don't we shoot ourselves in the leg and just pretend that the enemy shot us and we are wounded, so that they can withdraw us from the battlefield and send us home? So because they just wanted to leave the battlefield at all cost. So these soldiers took their guns, their own guns, and shoot at their own legs. So they were shooting themselves in the legs, and then they were reporting themselves to their commanders. Say, commander, please, look at it. I've been shot by the enemy. And the commander will assess them and say, no, because you have been shot, you are not fit to be in the battlefield. And then they will recall them and send them back home. And this is, you know, this was the idea, the wisdom, or the little trick these soldiers devised or came up with that made them to escape from the battlefield. And from then on, you know, this is where we got this idiom from, shoot yourself in the leg, which literally means doing something to yourself deliberately. Doing something to yourself deliberately, which, you know, deliberately or intentionally, which will have adverse effects in your life later on, which will have adverse effects in your life much later on. So deliberately doing yourself harm to gain maybe temporal pleasure, temporal fame, immediate satisfaction, but in the long run, it's going to have adverse effect on your life. Shooting yourself in the leg. And that's where that idiom is derived from. Shoot yourself in the foot. Shoot yourself in the foot. So it is to do or say something unintentionally sometimes, which will bring negative consequences upon yourself. Think about it. How many times do we do or say things unintentionally or sometimes deliberately to ourselves, which later on in life backfires against us? In other words, how many times do we end up shooting ourselves in the foot? To shoot yourself in the foot is to do something that causes problems for you. How many times have you done something, whether deliberately or unintentionally? Have you done something or have you said something that later backfires and causes trouble for you in the future? How many times? Probably so many times. I'm talking from experience, for instance. I've done things, I've said things, sometimes unintentionally, sometimes intentionally too. Maybe, with good intentions, say something or do something. I have been there, that later on will haunt you in the future. To shoot yourself in the foot is to do something or to say something that inadvertently undermines your own interests. Maybe when you are saying it or when you are doing it, you do not understand the implication of what you are saying or the implication of what you are doing. You just said it or you just did it. But eventually, it's waiting for you in the future. Eventually, it's going to affect your future. Eventually, it's going to undermine your own interest in the future. Shooting yourself in the foot is actually being your own worst enemy, causing yourself harm and damage, doing things that will bring distress upon yourself. Shooting yourself in the foot. Shooting yourself in the foot, I'm thinking again, is probably, to cause most of your problems or most of the bad things that happen to you by yourself. To be the main cause of your woes, to be the main cause of your troubles, of your problems. And sometimes, even though you are the main cause, you blame it on other people. You're the one who's shot yourself in the foot, and then you blame it on other people. You are the one who has done things to bring upon yourself the consequences that you are bearing currently, and yet you're looking for somebody else to blame. Shooting yourself in the leg or in the foot is the act of self-sabotage. You are the one sabotaging your own efforts. You are the one ruining your own future. You are the one destroying your own self. To shoot yourself in the foot is to bring self-destruction upon yourself. To shoot yourself in the foot is to bring self-harm upon yourself. And you see, thinking about it, I don't think there is anybody in their right senses who would like to self-harm themselves. Who would like to, in their normal senses, self-sabotage themselves. I don't think there's anybody who, in their right senses, will like to do anything that will wait for them in the future to hinder them. Nobody in their right senses will want to do that. But without us knowing, we daily, constantly, regularly do things that potentially harm or hinders our progress. We shoot ourselves in the leg. We say things that later will wait for us in the future. Sometimes at the gate of success, you are about to enter into that success lane, and then that thing that you have said or that you have done in the past is right there waiting, saying, no, you can't enter. So if shooting ourselves in the foot is as dangerous as I have just explained, then why are we still indulging in shooting ourselves in the foot? Why are we building disastrous futures for ourselves? Why are we deliberately destroying our own lives? Why are we deliberately destroying our own countries, our own communities? Our own countries, in this essence, talking to some of us who are back home in Africa, who keep blaming every bad things happening in Africa on politicians. How about the little things that you are doing yourself that is destroying your community? How about the bribes that you are demanding from people? How about how wicked, you are behaving to your neighbors? We're shooting ourselves in the foot. Why would anyone in his right senses shoot himself in the foot? I think some of the reasons anybody would do that is, number one, ignorance. If you are ignorant of the consequences of the actions you are taking, if you are ignorant of the consequences of your utterances, definitely you will not see anything wrong in saying such or doing such. Because if you are aware of the consequences of some of the things you say, you know that, oh, if I said XYZ, it's going to stand against me in the future. That future could be tomorrow, it could be next week, it could be next month, it could be next year, it could be 10 years down the lane. So if you know that if I do this, if I take this action, it's going to stand against me, you definitely will not do it. You definitely will not say such. But because you are ignorant, and sometimes you are arrogantly ignorant, you will do things and you will say things that will stand against you in the future, that will stand against you in the place of blessing, that will stand at the gate of success to hinder you from entering into that success that God has prepared for you. So that's one of the reasons I think people, whether deliberately or unintentionally, shoot themselves in the leg. Number two reason why I think people shoot themselves in the leg. If you know any reason, please mention them. Just type them up. I'll be happy to take on board your own contribution as well. Let me quickly welcome some of these people that I'm seeing on the screen. Alagba Shegun, thank you for joining. Abraham, who are you? It's nice having you on the show. Oluwakemi Olowo or Olowo, thank you so very much for joining. Kindly share this video. Now, the number one reason I said, the number one reason why I think people shoot themselves in the foot is because they are ignorant of the consequences of their utterances and actions. And sometimes they are arrogantly ignorant, because even when you're trying to educate them, when you're trying to point their attention to the implications of their utterances and actions, they just wouldn't care. They are too arrogant to listen. They are arrogantly ignorant about the consequences of their utterances and actions. So that's why they will shoot themselves in the leg. Number two is pride. A person will shoot himself in the foot as a result of pride. He knows that what he's doing is wrong, or what he's saying is not right, or what he's about to do or say is wrong, and he's aware, is consciously aware and fully aware of the consequences, but because of his pride, he will still go ahead and do it. He will still go ahead and shoot himself in the foot. He will still go ahead and commit the act that will stand against him in the future. He will still go ahead and commit the act that will jeopardize the future of his children or our children. He will still go ahead and say the things that will jeopardize the chances of her or him succeeding in their life endeavors. They will still go ahead and say or do things that will jeopardize their marriage, their relationships, their businesses, their jobs, because of pride. Rather than them backing down to say, you know what, it's better people know that I am weak than for them to, give me accolades of being brave, of being strong, and then I end up bearing the consequences, destroying myself as a result of the actions they are propelling me to take, or the things they are encouraging me or instigating me to say or do. If you are just a little humble, if you will just humble yourself a little more, you will prevent yourself from harming yourself, from destroying yourself, from shooting yourself in the foot. But because you don't want people, who have placed you so high, you have been so highly placed by them, and you don't want them to see that you are not who they really think you are. You are not as high as they think you are. You are not as powerful as they think you are. You are not as rich as they think you are. So you will end up being pushed or pushing yourself into doing or saying things you know will stand against you in the future. You are quite aware of the consequences, and yet you will indulge in doing it because of pride. The Holy Book, the Bible says, pride goes before a fall. Pride goes before a fall. So whatever you do because you want to show off out of pride will end up bringing you down. You are only digging a pit of future disaster for yourself. Number 3 reason why I think people will shoot themselves in the foot is carelessness. They're just careless. They are not ignorant. They are aware of the consequences of their actions. They are humble enough. They are not proud, but they are careless. They are just careless. They are not giving attention to details. They are careless. They will not do what they are supposed to do when they are supposed to do it. They are just careless. Number 4 reason, this is my own thinking and from my own understanding. Number 4 reason why somebody will shoot themselves in the leg, I think, is procrastination. Number 4 reason I think is procrastination. When there is something to be done now that will benefit your life, you say, oh, I will do it later. Oh, I will do it later. Oh, I will do it tomorrow. Oh, I'll do it next week. Oh, I'll go to that place next month. Oh, I will make that call next week. Oh, I will take that course next year. You keep procrastinating. You know the right things for you to do to benefit your life, to advance your destiny, to move your life forward, but you just will not do it because you are too lazy. You keep procrastinating. You keep procrastinating. That's number 4 reason. Number 5. I think number 5 reason why people shoot themselves in the foot, or why we shoot ourselves in the foot, is indiscipline. We lack control. We are not disciplined enough to refrain from doing things or saying things that will self-harm us, that will self-destroy us. We lack discipline. And that's why we fall easily into diverse temptations, into diverse traps, because we are not just disciplined enough. We lack control. Number 6. I think number 6 reason why we shoot ourselves in the leg or in the foot is selfishness. We are just too selfish. We are just too selfish. We're just thinking about ourselves, me and me and me and me alone. You're not thinking about how your utterance or your actions will affect the other person. You're not thinking about how it will make them feel. You are not thinking about how it will affect your community, your society. You're not thinking about how it will affect your boss. You are an employee. The way you are doing your job with lackadaisical attitude. You're not thinking about how it will affect the bottom line of that business. You're just about yourself. Me, and me alone. Selfishness. And then you'll be taking actions and making utterances that will end up standing against you in the future. Rotimi Omoni says overconfidence too. That's correct. Sometimes people are just too overconfident. Nothing will happen. Nothing will happen. No long thing. My Yoruba peers will say, you are just overconfident over nothing. Overconfident over nothing. Empty bragado. Thank you, Rotimi Omoni. I think number 7 reason why people will shoot themselves in the foot is just to show off. They're just showing off. They just want to show off. Do you know how many times that you have been moved by a crowd of people who are applauding you, clapping for you, that you have been moved by them to do the things you later regret you did? By the time you get back to your closet, you say, why did I do that thing? Kilo so messy. Why did I allow them to push me into you? They didn't push you. It is you who just wanted to show off. There's nothing wrong if you show them who you really are, rather than showing off who you are not. It's one of the reasons people shoot themselves in the foot. It's one of the reasons people shoot themselves in the foot. How are you being your worst enemy? When you shoot yourself in the foot, you are being your worst enemy. How are we doing this? Let me just break it down on regular basis. I'll break it down per situations. How are we being our worst enemies? Number 1, you're being your worst enemies or your worst enemy when you have no respect for your limits. You have no respect for your limits. You do not know your limitations. Every one of us have limitations, no matter who you are. It does not matter how highly placed, how powerful, how intelligent, how spontaneous you are. You have limits. You are not the Almighty. You do not have all the might. People may have high expectations, from you, but listen, you need to let them know you have limits. Some of us do not have respect for our limits. We want to be everything to everybody. We want to do everything. When you are in a conversation with people, or you are in a place where people are having a conversation, they are the top discussing a topic. If they discuss sports, you want to prove that you know everything about sports. When they are discussing politics, you want to prove to them that you know everything about politics. When they are discussing finance, you want to prove you know everything. You just want to prove that you know everything. You do not know your limits. Every one of us have areas of strengths and weaknesses. We all have limits. And you see, sometimes, like I always say, sometimes religion does not help us because we take religion wrongly. We take the Holy Book, even the Bible, wrongly. We understand it wrongly. We read meanings into the Word of God rather than deriving meaning from it. You read your own meaning into it, and that's what we do most of the time, because I've heard people, quote scripture a number of times. I can do all things. I can do all things. You can do all things through Christ who strengthens you does not mean you can jump from a high scraper and land safely on your feet. It does not mean so. You can do all things does not include that you can carry a 20-ton truck or trailer on your head. It does not mean so. You can do all things, yes, but you have limits because you are a human being. You can do all things. What it means is you can do all things within the parameters God has permitted you. That's what it means. You can do all things that God has assigned you to do. That's what it means. You can do all things that God has permitted you to do. That is what it means. Not just you can do all things infinitesimal. Anything at all you can do. You have limits. You don't know it all. You are not a Mr. or Miss Know-It-All. You can't be the lawyer, the doctor, the teacher, the engineer. You can't be everything all the time. You need to know your limits. You need to understand your limits. You need to have respect for your limits. When it is an area where you are not proficient, you need to have respect for yourself. It is part of respecting yourself. People are asking you questions that you know you do not have answers for. Don't give them wrong answers because you just want to make them believe that you know it. You know, that reminds me. I remember in Dublin, Ireland, it is common. Some of the people who live in Ireland probably will know this, will testify to this. If you ask people for direction in Ireland, they don't know the place. They don't know it. But rather than for them to say, you don't, well, you know what? It's not actually in Ireland alone. I've experienced it in other places too. Somebody said over Sabi. Bemi Dolipino guy says over Sabi. Yes, over Sabi. You just want to over Sabi. He knows everything. He's the one who is the fashion guru. He's the one who is the English teacher. He knows everything. That's why you are just killing and destroying yourself. You are shooting yourself in the foot. Now, going back to asking for direction on the road, it's not only in Ireland, it happens in other places too. You ask people for direction. They don't know the place. Rather for them to say, you know what, I don't know where you're going. I don't know the place. I don't know the direction. They will just keep pointing. Okay, just walk down the road, veer left, then you see a runabout, veer right. It's in that direction. It's that way. They don't know the place. And by the time you follow the direction they have given you, it ends up nowhere. It takes you farther away from where you are going. And then by the time you end up finding somebody who know the place where you are going, they now say, where are you coming from? You say, I'm coming from the north. They say, the place we are going is actually in the north. Whereas from the north, somebody asks you to go to the south. Because they do not understand their limits. It is not shameful for you to let people know that you don't know everything. Otherwise, you will end up shooting yourself in the foot all the time. You will end up telling lies that people will find out later on. And then everybody will label you, oh, she's a liar. Oh, he's a liar. Why don't you just let them know that I don't know it? I don't know it is I don't know. Nobody will take you to court over I don't know it. This is one of the ways by which we are shooting ourselves in the foot. Number 2 way is we are most times not utilizing our full potentials. You are not utilizing your full potentials. When you fail to utilize your full potentials, you will be shooting yourself in the foot. Remember the story of the soldiers that I mentioned earlier, where we derive this idiom, shoot yourself in the foot, from. They were in the battlefield. They were well-trained soldiers. But they were gripped with fear. They do not believe that they have the potentials to fight and win that battle. Many of us do not believe in ourselves enough. When we are confronted with situations, with challenges, we are so afraid that we begin to harm ourselves, we begin to endanger our lives, we begin to say things to our lives that will later, put us in danger. We begin to say things to ourselves and about ourselves, to our children and about our children, that will later harm them in the future. You need to believe in your potentials. You need to believe in yourself. Believing in your potential is different from not knowing your limits. Believing that you are able to achieve what God wants you to achieve. You are able to do what God says you can do. Believe in yourself. When you believe in yourself, you will not be afraid in the face of challenges or danger. You will not be afraid when people are trying to harass you, when people are trying to intimidate you. You'll be bold, you'll be strong, because you believe in your potentials. People who commit suicide is because they lost hope. They allowed despair upon themselves. They lost confidence in themselves. They come to a point where they do not believe that they can make it anymore. They do not believe they have the potentials to make it. They do not believe that they have the potentials to achieve their dreams in life. And then they give up. You need to believe in yourself. You need to believe in your potentials. You need to face challenges boldly and strongly. Tough times don't last, but tough people do. You need to be tough with situations and challenges. Number 3, how you are being your worst enemy. Number 3, you are being your worst enemy because you are insecure. You are insecure. You need to feel secure in yourself. You need to get rid of your Inferiority complex. Feel secure. Listen, I've heard people many times say, oh, I'm insecure because of what he does, what she does. It is nobody's responsibility to make you feel secure. It is your responsibility to find security in yourself, within yourself. People will do whatever they will do to you, to undermine you, to trash you, to demean you, but you need to be strong enough to find security in yourself. Inferiority complex will make you feel insecure. People will want to push you around. People will want to drag you down. People will want to push you over. But you need to feel secure within yourself. You need to convince yourself that I am good enough. I am strong enough. I am capable enough. I am the best. I am not a pushover. People may want to make you feel bad about yourself. People will do things to you that may want you to withdraw to your shell and begin to sob and begin to weep and cry and feel dejected and battered. Listen, find security in yourself. There is a secure place within you. It is the place of strength. It is a place where you know that with God on your side, you are more than a conqueror. You need to feel secure. You need to know that you are good enough. Otherwise, you will give up easily and too quickly too. Number 4, how you are being your worst enemy. Number 4, you're being your worst enemy when you are not patient. You're being your worst enemy because you are impatient. You are impatient. You are too much in a hurry to get there. You are too much in a hurry to achieve. You are too much in a hurry to see results. You need to be patient. It is not the day you plant that you will reap. When you plant, even before you plant, you will till the ground, you will clear the ground, you will get your seed, you will plant your seed, you will tend it, you will weed it from time to time, you will water it, you will watch over it, you will protect it, and then it begins to grow. And then eventually you will harvest. Be patient. It is not the same day that a child is born that the child will crawl, the child will walk. No, there is a process of time. There is a process of time. Between where you are now and where you are going, that gap is called a process of time. This is where you are. This is where you are going. In between is a process of time. Be patient enough to walk through that process of time. Stop looking at the people who are at the other end, and then they are already reaping. They too started from here, from the beginning, and then they waited gradually. They were moving towards the success point until they get to that success point. You need to be patient. You need to wait. Stop looking at those people who are now achievers. There was a time when they were beginners. There was a time when today's achievers were beginners. You may be a beginner today, but it will take time. Eventually, you will get there. It may only take time, but eventually you will get there. Be patient. If you are not patient, you will dabble into the things you are not supposed to do, and you will shoot yourself in the foot. Number 5, how you are being your worst enemy. Number 5 is you are only focusing on what you don't have. You are being your worst enemy and you are shooting yourself in the foot because you keep focusing on what you don't have. Appreciate what you have. Be appreciative of the things God has blessed you with. Your children, your job, your life, your health. There are people who have money who do not have health. There are people who have money who do not have children. There are people who have money who do not have family. There are people who have family who do not have health. Just appreciate what God has given you. Be satisfied with what you have. Stop focusing on what you do not have. When you continually focus on what you do not have, the grass will always look greener on the other side. Until you get to the other side and you realize that, oh, it's not even as green as I thought. Appreciate what you have. There's a proverb where I come from that if you are appreciative of the little you have been given, you will receive more. Appreciate the little God has given you. By the time you begin to look at that little, you realize that it's not actually little, it is much. But because you keep focusing on what the other person have, the clothes they have, the shoes they have, the cars they have, the house they have, the children they have, focus on what you have. The reason you do not have enough time to keep what you have and make the best, the most of what you have is because you are spending your time focusing on what other people have. If you will spend more time on what you have, you will make the most of what you have. What you have will eventually become the best. Spend time to appreciate and to look after what you have. Spend time to nurture what you have. Spend time to grow what you have. That is how you grow. When you focus on what you have rather than what you don't have. And number one thing that you have is God. Why don't you focus on God? He's the source of every other thing that you may not seem to have now, and is able to do exceedingly abundantly above all you think or ask. Focus on what you have. Focus on the number one thing that you have. You have God, and then there are so many other things that you do have. You still have life. That's why you can watch me now. That's why you are listening to me right now, because you've got life. Appreciate that life. Focus on the good things around you, the people around you. Appreciate them. If you need to nurture them, nurture them. If you need to, be patient with them, be patient with them. Appreciate what you have. Number 6 reason, or number 6 way that we are being our worst enemy is this. You are helping everyone except yourself. When you focus on helping everyone at the expense of helping yourself, listen, you are being your worst enemy. And I am serious about this. Some of us, we are too good. You want to be there for everybody. Who is there for you? Who is there for you? You neglect yourself, and then you are looking after everyone else. Who will look after you? I said something some time ago. I said, blow your own trumpet, because nobody will blow that trumpet for you. Everybody is busy blowing their own trumpet, and you are even helping them blow their own trumpet. Who is blowing yours for you? You are busy helping everyone except yourself. You are not helping yourself. You are not looking after yourself. You are busy looking after everybody. You are busy caring for everybody. You are not caring for yourself. Look at you. Look at how you are. Look at how you are. You need to begin to focus on yourself. Listen, even the Bible says you love your neighbor as yourself. It is the love you have for yourself that you will transfer on your neighbor. If you are not looking after yourself, then why are you so bothered about looking after other people? You need to look after yourself first. You need to look after your family first. You need to look after your children first. You need to look after your wife first. You need to look after your husband first. You need to look after yourself first. It is you first before others. That is not being selfish. That is being sensible. You first. Imagine if you are standing on one foot. If you're standing on one foot and you are not balanced, tilting from one side to the other, you're trying to find your balance, you are on one foot, and somebody comes across and say, please, can you carry me on your head? Don't you know that you stand the risk of falling if you carry that person while you are standing on one foot? Why don't you wait until you are standing on 2 feet? On both feet. Establish yourself first before you start helping other people. Help yourself first. Establish yourself first before you start carrying other people. I know you have the mind to help, but help yourself first. Stand firm first. That's what the Bible says. You stand first. But you are not well grounded, and then you are carrying everybody. You will fall. Everybody will fall. And by the time they fall together with you, they will go to the next person who can carry them. They will abandon you. You need to focus on yourself and help yourself before you start helping other people. Where I come from, in Yoruba land, they will say, if there is fire on you and there is fire on your child, it is the fire on you that you first of all deal with before you are able to deal with the one on your child. Because if you don't, by the time you rush to your child to help them put out the fire, the one on you will spread. Your child will catch more fire. So you need to first of all douse the fire on you, put out the fire on you before you rush to help other people. So in closing, as I try to close on this amazing and wonderful and life-changing topic, how do you heal the wound that you have created by shooting yourself in the foot? None of us can claim not to have shot ourselves in the foot at one time or the other. I have shot myself in the foot not once, many times. I have been in a situation where I wanted to help everybody. I wanted to carry everybody. I was concerned about everybody's welfare except mine. I didn't even realize it. People will call me in the morning, afternoon, night, midnight. I will be there taking call, responding to their needs. But nobody, was there responding to my own needs. When I became tired, weak, and I needed support, nobody was there. And I became that tired and weak and needed support because I was using my energy just trying to help everybody. And when I ran out of energy, nobody was there. You need to focus on yourself. So we've all been there where we've shot ourselves in the foot. So the wound that we created, how do we now heal it? Number one, I believe the first step to stop self-sabotage is to be aware. Be aware. The key to end self-harm is awareness. It might sound simple, but often unwanted behaviors come as natural to us. As natural as breathing the air to us. What do I mean by that? If you want to stop self-harming, self-destroying yourself, you need to be aware of, number one, the fact that you are destroying yourself. You need to be convinced, because if you are not aware, you are not convinced that you are causing yourself destruction, you can't stop. You continue. Say, what is he saying? Rubbish. You just continue. So you need to be aware that, listen, I am self-destroying myself. The things that I am doing, the things that I am saying is destroying me gradually. Number two, you need to be aware of the consequences of what you are doing and what you are saying that is destroying your future. So awareness is key. You need to be aware. You need to be aware. You need to be well aware of what you are doing to yourself and the consequences of what you are doing to yourself. Number two, I think you need to separate yourself from toxic thoughts and influences. Toxic thoughts, those influences that make you to say and do the wrong thing. The thoughts in your mind that make you to say the wrong things, or that make you to see people the wrong way and then treat them the wrong way. The people around you, the influences around you that instigates you, that pushes you, to do the wrong things that you normally would not do, to say the wrong things that you normally would not say. You need to separate yourself from such. Separate yourself from such thoughts and such influences, such people around you. If they are your friends and they are propelling you and pushing you all the time, instigating you, feeding you with wrong information that make you to take wrong decisions, pushing you to do things, terrible things that that can potentially destroy your life or destroy your children's life, you need to separate yourself from such thoughts and such influences, such people. Number three, because somebody said yes, so because creating distance between you and the negative motivating factors is key. All the factors that are motivating you and pushing you, instigating you negatively, creating distance between you and them is very, very key. So don't forget that. Number three, I think you need to create a life you don't have to rebel against. You need to create a life you love to live. You need to create a life you cannot say no to. What do I mean by this? If you don't like certain things in life, you'll probably find ways to protest against them. For instance, if you don't like your job, you may find reasons to go to work late. You may find reasons to even call in sick because you don't like that job. So if there are things in your life you do not like, why don't you begin to think about how to create the things you like in your life? If the way to create the things you like in your life is to, improve on yourself by way of taking up courses, improving on your academics, or changing your job, or changing your circle of friends, whatever it is that will make you to create the kind of life you will not rebel against. Because sometimes when we shoot ourselves in the foot, we are rebelling against something. We are fighting against something in our lives or about us that we do not like. But rather than rebelling and fighting, why don't you change that lifestyle? Why don't you change that thing around your life that is making you to rebel? If it is a circle of people or fellowship that you belong to, or even church that you belong to, that is giving you negative vibes, why don't you change that circle? Why don't you change your life? Change that thing in your life and around your life, or make it better. You don't like the way it is now, and is getting you angry all of the time, and as a result of that anger, you do things that you normally would not do. Why don't you think of how to make that thing better? If it is your job, make it better. If it is your marriage, make it better. If it is your finance, you are always broke. Why don't you think of, how to have more streams of income, or how to get a better job? Why don't you think, learn a trade or learn a business or something? Create a life that you don't have to rebel against. That's number 3. And I think number 4 is that you make conscious choices. You need to make conscious choices. You need to begin to make conscious choices. Some of the choices we make them half-heartedly, not consciously. Making conscious choices means that this is what I am supposed to do. You know the benefits in it. You know the consequence of not doing it. So you consciously make that choice, make that decision. Not that you blindly make the choice or make the decision, or somebody pushed you, or somebody is pushing you, or somebody has pushed you to make the decision. You have weighed all your options before you make that decision. Those are the kind of things that prevents you from self-harming yourself. Because when you consider, thoroughly a decision before you make it, it stays with you much longer, and you are likely to be happy with that decision because you've considered all options. Even the Bible says, who is that man that wants to build a house that will not first sit down and count the cost? That is examining your choices and your options. You don't have to make decisions in a hurry. If there are people who are pushing you, make decision, make decision, make decision. They are pushing you to make decision in a hurry. Tell them to give you time. Say, you know what? Cool temper, cool temper, cool temper. I need time to think this through. You need time to think it through. Don't let them push you. Don't make decisions in a hurry. Don't make half-hearted decisions and choices. Don't make ad hoc decisions. Examine the full package. Examine the downsides and the upsides of that choice before you make it. Don't make decisions in a hurry. Number 5, you need to stop procrastinating. Procrastinating is a theft of time. You need to stop procrastinating. Procrastination comes when we think the actions we will take, or the actions we have taken, or the actions we are about to take will cause us pain. So I don't want to do that thing now because you are thinking, oh, it's too enormous, it's too big, it's too overwhelming, it's too scary, and then you keep procrastinating. I cannot take that course now because even if I take the course, how will I pass it? You are procrastinating. One of the ways by which you can stop procrastination is to break down whatever tasks you have to do into tiny bits and take it one tiny part at a time. Don't attack the whole lot at a time. Otherwise, it will scare you and then you will feel like running away from it. You don't want to do it again. Break it down and do it one at a time. Number 6, and finally, you need to practice progress. Practice progress, not perfection. I call this PPNP. Practice progress, not perfection. practice progress, not perfection. Some of us are practicing perfection. You want to see perfection in everything you do. You are not perfect. You will end up frustrating yourself and discouraging yourself. You are human. You are fallible. You will make errors. You will make mistakes. It is not everything that you start that you have the ability to even finish. Sometimes you will not be able to even go at the speed or at the pace you want to go. You are not perfect. Sometimes there will be failures. You need to accept it. You need to practice progress, not perfection. Many of us are busy practicing perfection. We want everything to look perfect. We want everything to look, yes, all right. It is not everything that will always look all right. An expectation of perfection leaves us feeling miserable, insufficient, inferior when they are not met. When they are not met, you feel miserable. You feel inferior. You feel insufficient. You feel incapable. We may end up feeling unworthy, unwanted, incapable when our expectations of perfection are not met. When you have set such a high standard for yourself that you know that for somebody of my caliber, of my type, this is where people should find me. This is where people should see me. I should be this perfect. I should attain this height. When you are not able to attain that height, what happens? You feel dejected. You feel embarrassed. You feel depressed. You feel battered. You need to practice progress. Make progress, not perfection. As long as you are making progress, no matter how little, it is okay. It is all right. Instead of practicing perfection, practice positive progress. I just want to read a few comments and then I will close the show. Rotimi Omoni. Rotimi Omoni. Jack of all trade. Yes. Jack of all trade. Yes. There are some of the comments I am not able to read. Okay. Bemidol Pinuga says, nice topic. Nice topic. Thank you so very much. Let me just close the show because the show has been on now for 1 hour and I do not intend to make it any longer than an hour. I want to thank you from the bottom of my heart, all of you who have joined, all of you who have shared the video. And if you have not shared the video, even after I have closed, kindly share the video so that other people may benefit from this amazing and wonderful life-changing topic as well that we've discussed today. Share the video, watch it as many times as possible, digest it, take notes, and please practice it. It is important, and teach it to other people. And I hope that when next I do come online on Frankly Speaking, you'll be eager to join me. You'll be there to participate and to share the video and to show all the love as you have always done. Thank you so very much for joining me on this show today. It's another life-changing show from Voice Africa Radio. I will see you when next I come online. Thank you so very much and stay blessed. I'm going to leave you with this Bob Marley music. Stay blessed. Bye.
This morning, smile with the rising sun. Three little birds, it's by my doorstep, singing sweet songs of melodies pure and true, saying, this is my message to you.